Hello, and welcome back to Wrestling with Poetry, Kalamazoo, Michigan's premier wrestling and poetry podcast. This week, we will hear from Kelly Krumrie, a great poet and teacher, and we'll find out about some of the great pro wrestling trainers, and we will attempt to grasp their wisdom. First, Kelly. Kelly Krumrie is the author of Math Class, published by Calamari Archive 2022. She lives and teaches in and around Denver. Let's listen.
No measure. I climb the stairs to the control room. You let me in, bright white desert. At the window, I picture you here. You stand at a dial, can handle an instrument. You ask, what would you like to measure? Desert, white hot, your lattice, what pattern, my direction, glass and water, I can't answer. The grass yellows, a clear and indifferent sound of weather. It rains. We run up the stairs. I start to tell you something. The desert grows dark. You go to the window, press your hands against the glass. I try to speak. I have no sound. When the hail settles, I'll go down and clear it out. Now you record the event, set your notes on the table. I try to walk over. Look, I leave no trace. When I move, you don't see. It's the grass in your eyes, the weather. There is no sound. I take your hand. From here I can see so far. It rains. I have to tell you something. Look, you pull me to you. The desert is dark. No sound. I know. You press your hands to. There is no sound. When I move, you see? Close your eyes. The desert is dark. Hail makes sound. I don't try to speak. Out the window, it rains. You press my back to the window. With your eyes, record this event. No sound. The rain, I start to, and your direction, no, it's clear out. What is the grass to the air? The desert is clear, sun bright, reflection of light off the light sand and rock. Clear, transparent and radiant at once. The brightness is exact or collapses what's seen now. Not disaggregated, not void. Up a glassy surface, out imperceptible array. It needs collision, no, the wind. Or the wind, is it? I see through it. Only in distance is there air here. Only in what the grass gives off or doesn't let go of.
Thank you, Kelly. That was marvelous. Today we have a question. Hey Ish, I recently watched the Netflix documentary Wrestlers, and I noticed some fun wrestling-related practices and products. Tanning, say. It always seemed to me that the practices and products that came along with a given activity were almost as fun and interesting as the activity itself. Mouth guards. And I was hoping you could elaborate on some of the practices and products, tricks of the trade, rituals, totems, fetishes, etc. you and other poets have used to get into that locker room taping up Tiger Bomb ice bath, tanned and shiny poet space. Thanks. Best, Robert. Thank you, Robert. This is an excellent question. Yes, I put your question to the poet closest to me. He likes to wear his favorite shirt when he reads. The pants he's less particular about. Also, he practices his reading so that it occurs within the time allotted. With poetry readings, there will be an amount of time allotted to each reader. Naturally, every situation is different and has its own protocols, but I have gone over the time limit, and when someone has to tell you to stop reading, it's a real feeling. Even if you're the greatest poet ever, there's a limit. Regarding products, I've known people to light candles. Some people work on the feng shui of the venue by arranging items in a particular way, like books. Speaking for myself, I've got this glitter that I like. I used to blow it off the first or last page of what I was reading because it looks very magical like when it's all airborne. The brand is Fairy Sparkles, and it claims to be a delicate mix of the finest glitter. If you use this trick, you might want to check with the host of the reading first. I found out that some people have definite negative feelings against glitter, particularly if they have electronic equipment or a shag rug. In Bob Dylan's book Chronicles, he talks about being advised to use black eyeliner all around his eyes to ward off the evil eye. And if you look at concert footage of him from 1975, he seems to have done just that, done the whole eye around with eyeliner. I'm thinking of trying that. Segue. On the subject of practical advice for game day, what does a wrestler learn? First, I thought I was going to be saying like, oh, this is the wisdom of the fabulous Moolah, or this is the wisdom of Stu Hart. But try as I might, I can't really find any quotes from these guys, the guys in the top 10 list. According to the web right now, October 15th, 2023, these are the best remembered or regarded pro wrestling trainers, starting from 10. Danny Davis of Ohio Valley Wrestling, OVEW, which is the subject of the Netflix show. So that's Danny Davis at 10. The Fabulous Moolah, Larry Sharp, Eddie Sharkey, Afa Enoy, Harley Race, Dory Funk Jr., Killer Kowalski, Vern Gagne, who trained Ric Flair, Stu Hart, who is the father of Bret Hart, who is considered like a pure technician of wrestling. He was Bret the Hitman Hart. Stu had this famous dungeon, which was a dreary padded room in his basement in Canada, where he'd train wrestlers. I'm not using air quotes. He is really legitimately a wrestling trainer. And I got this list from Sportster.com, and it was authored by Dan Flaherty. All these trainers were former wrestlers. I saw an interview with Honky Tonk Man, which was very illuminating. If you want to check it out, it's on Hannibal TV, on the Hannibal TV channel, and it is the episode where Honky Tonk talks about wrestling Lou Thez. Honky Tonk had only been wrestling 9 months at that point, and he was nervous because Lou Thez is a legend. Important to note that veteran wrestlers will beat up on the new talent. Not like outside the ring, but in the ring, veterans are going to beat you up. You're not going to win to a veteran at the beginning of your career. I suppose it's like getting beaten into a gang. But Honky Tonk was trained by Herb Welch, who told him what to expect when he would be wrestling Lou Thez. He said that Lou would get him in a wrist lock and take his arm back, and he would try to dislocate his shoulder, which Honky Tonk said Lou did try this on him, but he was prepared because Herb told him how to keep his arm curled in and his hand near his stomach so his shoulder wouldn't dislocate. Lou Thez wrestled stiff, which meant he didn't pull his punches. Not that he punched so much as smacked, and he'd go for a certain part of the head where it would draw blood from the ear. So he had his own tricks of being spectacular and bloody. That is a huge leg up to have someone telling you what is coming up at a match. Imagine if you didn't. You'd just absorb the pain and acquire injury. If you know he's going to try to smack blood out of your ear, you can anticipate this and respond and hopefully not take the hit directly. You might have to take the hit, but you don't have to take the whole hit. Training is learning how to roll, learning how to take a hit, and how to respond when someone is actively trying to pull the arm out of the socket. Training is also staying in strong, flexible shape. Obviously, the gym. A trainer is going to teach you how to reverse your opponent's holds. The trainer is going to know all the tricks of the guys who you're going to be up against. There's a wrestler, William Regal. He's a British guy, and he made it big. He retired in 2010. He gives free advice on a website that I found called Era and Alba. He recommends knowing all you can about the technique and craft of wrestling. That's not surprising. But he does recommend learning different wrestling forms like Greco-Roman or sumo, presumably. He highlights because that's all about balance. He highlights the hard work and pain aspect of pro wrestling. He tells the wrestler, if you think it's not going to be hard work or if you think it's not going to be painful, you're wrong. It's going to be hard work and painful. As a matter of fact, important to realize that pain will be your constant companion if you commit to pro wrestling as a career. And that's whether you become a big star or not. You're going to be in pain. His best advice, I think, is about how to access your charisma through character work. And this is something he spends time on that I haven't heard anybody else do. He emphasizes building a character that reflects something true about you, and knowing your character inside and out, and making sure that you're a fan of this character, like you have an easy relationship with them because you're going to be in there. The audience will know. I think self-acceptance is the start of charisma. Acting coaches will tell you the same thing. Know your character and her every detail. Get into that reality, and if you're lucky, this will shine out as self-respect and respect toward others, which I believe charisma is born from self-acceptance and as well as accepting others and being open. And remember, the success of the match, to some extent, will rely on the character's commitment to the storyline and how interestingly they're going to perform the conflict. Events! Independence Pro Wrestling returns to Lansing, Michigan at Royal Scott, and this is going to be Saturday, October 28th. IPW will host the 4th annual Halloween celebration, Grave Danger. Doors open at 6 p.m. The match begins at 7 p.m. Royal Scott is located at 4722 West Grand River Avenue in Lansing, Michigan, 48906. This Thursday, October 19th, Satellite Records will have their open mic where you can read your poems. Now, this starts at 5:30 p.m. Bring your poems, songs, raps, etc. Satellite Records is at 808 Southwest Natch Avenue in beautiful Kalamazoo, Michigan. And Satellite Records is open every day of the week, but at different times each day. So that's it for this week's Wrestling with Poetry. Thank you, Kelly, for sharing your wonderful work, and thanks to all who are listening, and hopefully we'll meet again next week.